Good day! How are you, learners? I hope you're all doing good. By the way, are you excited to learn another fun-filled lesson? Well, that's great! So come on, let's begin! Welcome to the continuation of our class in creative writing for Module 1, Lesson 3 of Quarter 2. And I am Mary Quenie D. Gabutan, your teacher for today's session. For our target learning competency, conceptualize a character, setting, plot for one-act play. So now, let's define first what is character. A character is a person or an entity given the characteristics of a person who acts, speaks, narrates, or is referred to in a literary work. Because of the grand scale of tragedies and comedies that have been performed in the past, characters in drama have been traditionally classified as follows. First, hero or heroine, the main leading character in the story who exhibits superior qualities. Her or his conflict is also the play's main conflict. The hero or heroine is sometimes referred to as the protagonist. Second, villain or villainess, a character who is often characterized as evil and always in opposition to the hero or heroine. Third, superhero or superheroine, a larger-than-life character always possessing supernatural powers. And fourth, anti-hero or anti-heroine, a character who is more ordinary than the traditional hero or heroine. Again, class, those are the four traditional classifications of drama. First, hero or heroine. Second, villain or villainess. Third, superhero or superheroine. And fourth, anti-hero or anti-heroine. In modern drama, the classification of the characters is more lifelike and caters more to contemporary landscapes and demands of playwriting. Some of these characters are flat, round, stock, type, and stereotype. Creating characters in drama is always crucial to the success of a play. The characters must have a strong motivation and solid need or desire that will propel them to take risks and do everything to get what they earnestly yearn for. These motivations justify why they what they do. Moreover, the characters in your play must be fully developed, as close to real people as they can be. The following are considerations in creating possible characters. Letter A. Gender. Men and women react differently to certain issues and events. Letter B. Class. People in the middle class speak different lingo from poor people. Letter C. Age. The elderly and the young do not have the same language and expression. Letter D. Education. An educated person will have a dissimilar outlook or view from an out-of-school person. Letter E. Relationships. People who are married or are in committed relationships usually behave and think differently from single and uncommitted ones. Letter F. Work. People are governed by their work and earnings. Their actions are justified because of the nature of their occupation. Letter G. Race or ethnicity. People of different upbringings make different choices in given situations. And letter H. Politics. Political beliefs can powerfully affect what a person opts to do. Again, the following are considerations in creating plausible characters: gender, class, age, education, relationships, work, race or ethnicity, and politics. So, let me give you an example. Following is the opening scene of Crimes of the Heart, a Pulitzer Prize-winning play of Beth Henley. In this scene, we are introduced to the characters of Lenny McGrath and her cousin, Jake Boyle. Although we do not initially know who they are, their dialogues with each other will help us get to know their characters. Crimes of the Heart, an excerpt by Beth Henley. The characters: Lenny McGrath, 30, the oldest sister; Chick Boyle, 29, the sister's first cousin; Doc Porter, 30, Meg's old boyfriend; Meg McGrath, 27, the middle sister; Babe Bottrill, 24, the youngest sister; and Barnett Lloyd, 26, Babe's lawyer. Now let us talk about the setting of the entire play. The setting of the entire play is the kitchen in the McGrath sisters' house in the Hazelhurst, Mississippi, a small southern town. The old-fashioned kitchen has an unusually spacious, but there is a lived-in, cluttered look about it. There are 4 different entrances and exits to the kitchen: the back door, the door leading to the dining room and the front of the house, a door leading to downstairs bedroom, and a staircase leading to the upstairs room. There is a table near the center of the room, and a cot has been set up in one of the corners. The play happened in the fall, 5 years after Hurricane Camille. So, class, are you now ready to witness the entire play? That's awesome! What are we waiting for? Let us begin with Act 1. The lights go up on the empty kitchen. It is late afternoon. Lenny McGrath, a 30-year-old woman with a round figure and face, enters from the back door carrying a white suitcase, a saxophone case, and a brown paper sack. She sets the suitcase and the sax case down and takes the brown sack to the kitchen table. After glancing quickly at the door, she gets the cookie jar from the kitchen counter, a box of matches from the stove, and then brings both objects back to the kitchen table. Excitedly, she reaches in the brown sack and pulls out a package and removes the candle. She tries to stick the candle onto the cookie. It falls off. She sticks the candle in again, but the cookie is too hard and crumbles. Frantically, she gets a second cookie and begins dripping was onto the cookie. Just as she is beginning to smile, we hear Chick's voice from offstage. "Lenny! Oh, Lenny!" Lenny quickly blows out the candle and stuffs the cookie and candle into her dress pocket. Chick, 29, enters from the back door. She is a brightly dressed matron with yellow hair and shiny red lips. "Hi, I saw your car pull up." "Hi. Well, did you see today's paper?" Lenny nods. "It's just too awful. It's just way too awful. How am I gonna continue holding my head up high in this community? I do not know. Did you remember to pick up those pantyhose for me?" "They're in the sack." "Well, thank goodness. At least I'm not gonna have to go into the town wearing holes in my stockings." She gets the package, tears it open, and proceeds to take off one pair of stockings and put on another throughout the following scene. There should be something slightly grotesque about this woman changing her stockings in the kitchen. "Did Uncle Watson call?" "Yes, Daddy called me twice already. He said Babe's ready to come home. We've got to get right over and pick her up before they change their Simple Minds." "Oh, I know, of course. It's just..." "What?" "Well, I was hoping Meg would call." "Meg?" "Yes, I sent her a telegram about Babe and..." "A telegram? Couldn't you just phone her up?" "Well, no, because her phone's out of order." "Out of order?" "Disconnected, I don't know what." "Well, that sounds like Meg." "These are snug. Are you sure you bought my right size?" Looking at the box. "Size extra petite." "Well, they're skimping onto the nylon material." Struggling to pull up the stockings. "That's all there is to it, skimping on the nylon." She finishes one leg and starts the other. Now, just what all did you say in this telegram to Meg? Nervously, as she begins to pick up the mess of dirty stockings and plastic wrappings. But Babe wants Meg home. She asked me to call her. I'm not talking about what Babes wants. Well, what then? Listen, Lenora, I think it's pretty accurate to assume that after this morning's paper, Babe's gonna be incurring some mighty negative publicity around this town, and Meg's appearance isn't gonna help out a bit. What's wrong with Meg? She had a loose reputation in high school. She was popular. She was known all over Copiah County as cheap Christmas trash, and that was the least of it. There was that whole sordid affair with Doc Porter, leaving him crippled. A cripple? He's got limped, just kind of barely limped. Well, his mother was going to get me out of the Ladies' Social League because of it. What? That's right! I never told you, but I had to go plead without mean a woman and convince her that I was just a pal with what Meg had done as she was, and that it was only a first cousin anyway, and I could hardly be blamed for all the skeletons in the McGrath's closet. It was humiliating, I tell you. Even she brought up your mother's death, and that poor cat. Oh, please. Chick, I'm sorry, but you're in the ladies' league now. Yes, that's true, I am. But frankly, if Mrs. Porter hadn't developed that tumor in her bladder, I wouldn't be in the club today, much less a committee head. As she brushes her hair, anyway, you be a sweet potato and wait right here for Meg to call, so you can convince her not to come back home. It would make things a whole lot easier on everybody. Don't you think it really would? Probably. Good, then suit yourself. How's my hair? Fine. Not pushing far in the back, is it? No, cleaning the hair from her brush. All right then, I'm on my way. I've got Anime over keeping an eye on PK and Bach Jr., but I don't trust her with them for long periods of time. Dropping the ball of hair onto the floor. Her mind is like a loose sieve. Honestly, it is. As she puts her brush back into her purse. Oh, I almost forgot. Here's the present for you. Happy birthday to Lenny from the Pop Boys. She takes a wrapped package from her bag and hands it to Lenny. Why, thank you, Chick. It's so nice to have you remember my birthday every year like you do. Oh, well, now that's just the way I am, I suppose. That's just the way I was brought up to be. Well, why don't you go on and open the present? All right. She starts to unwrap the gift. It's a box of candy assorted creams. Candy, that's always a nice gift. And you have a sweet tooth, don't you? I guess. Well, I'm glad you like it. I do. Oh, speaking of which, remember that little polka dot dress you got from PK for her 5th birthday last month? The red and white one? Yes! Well, the first time I put it in the washing machine, I mean the very first time, it fell all to pieces. Those little polka dots just dropped right off in the water. Oh no, will I get something else for her? Then a little toy. Oh, no. We shouldn't hear of it. I just wanted to let you know so you wouldn't go and waste any more of your hard-earned money on that makeup dress. Those and expensive brands just don't hold up. I'm sorry, but not in these modern washing machines. Hello? Lenny? Oh, look, it's Doc Porter. Come on in, Doc. Please, come right on in. Doc Porter enters through the back door. He is carrying a large sack of pecans. Doc is an attractively worn man with a slight limp that adds rather than detracts him from his quite seductive quality. He is 30 years old, but appears slightly older. Well, how are you doing? How in the world are you doing? Just fine, Chick. And how are you liking it now that you're back in Hazelhurst? Oh, I'm finding it somewhat enjoyable. Somewhat? Only somewhat? Will you listen to him? What a silly man. Well, I'm on my way. I've got some people waiting on me. It's Babe. I'm on my way to pick her up. Oh. Well, goodbye. Farewell and goodbye. Bye. Chick exits. And that concludes the said excerpt entitled Crimes of the Heart by Beth Henley. Well, class, let us discuss about setting. Understanding and knowing the plot are not the only major considerations in playwriting. A playwright has to recognize the value of setting in a play. Setting refers to the place or the locale where the story of the play is situated. The date, the time, and the action all add up to the setting of the play. Now, let us take a look and understand what are realistic plays. Realistic plays are those whose conventions fall under the realistic plane and are drawn out from real people, objects, and situations. The setting, like realism in fiction, is aimed at reproducing faithfully the external presence of life, especially those of the commonplace, people in everyday situations. Moreover, the key to presenting realistic plays is always representational, because they are mostly domestic dramas and traditional plays. The setting mounted on stage would be sections of a house, an office, a park, a street, a garage, and abandoned building or staircase. One good example of realistic play is Henrik Ibsen's A Doll House. This drama is considered by many dramatists as pioneering work of realism. The play became popular because of its ability to identify with its characters and the lives they live. The setting of the play is Mr. Thorvald Helmer's home. This time, let us talk about non-realistic plays. Non-realistic plays are those whose conventions do not fall under the realistic plane and are drawn out from stylized and unconventional situations. The characters are not real people, but are either allegorical or symbolic, such as ghosts, devils, animals, or human representations of virtues or vices. The setting, therefore, is also non-realistic. It could be a dreamlike forest, a barren and deserted mountain, a dark alley, the underworld, a fictional spot. The key to presenting non-realistic plays is always presentational, because the playwright has to devise ways to mount the setting on stage stylistically. An example of non-realistic play is William Shakespeare's Hamlet. Although Hamlet is a prince and the other characters are drawn out from real people, the presence of his father's ghost and the pressing attacks of his guilt and conscience should be figuratively seen on stage. Now, class, here are sample of some famous settings ever written. For realistic play, we have Trifles by Susan Glasgow. The setting of this play is in the kitchen in the now abandoned farmhouse of John Wright. A gloomy kitchen and left without having been put in order, unwashed pans under the sink, a loaf of bread outside the bread box, a dish on the towel, other signs of incomplete work. Another one is Riders to the Sea by John Millington Synge. The setting is in an island off the west of Ireland. Cottage kitchen with nets, oilskins, spinning wheel, some new boardings standing by the wall, and etc. For the non-realistic plays, we have Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett. The setting of this play is in a country road and a tree, and it is evening. Another one is Antigone by Sophocles. The setting is in the royal house of Thebes. It is still a night, and the invading armies of Argos have just been driven from the city. Fighting on opposite sides, the sons of Oedipus, Eteocles, and Polynices have killed each other in combat. Their uncle Creon is now king of Thebes. Now let's discuss about plot. Now, plot, class, is that when we are going to talk about dramatic structure of a play, we are talking about plot, just like a novel or short story. The physical format of a play is divided into major divisions or acts. A three-act play has three acts, showcasing a fuller and longer exposition of the theme and conflict, while a one-act play has 1 unit of time of place and 1 unit of action. Conflicts and drama revolves around the conflict. Person versus him or herself, person versus another person versus group or society, and person versus nature, environment, or person versus God or universe. In the exposition and introduction, this is also called a status quo. When the play opens, you are introduced to the characters and the setting is established. Sometimes, the conflict in the play is introduced in the introduction. This is called in medias res, in the middle of the action. However, whatever the structure of the play is, the opening scene always establishes the circumstances that involved the characters to the conflict and sets the tone of the play. Example of this is Amador Tidaglio, a poet, novelist, and teacher during the pre-war. He was best known for his fictions and poems. He served as chief editor for the Philippine House of Representatives before he died in 1966. And one of his famous writing is The Wedding Dance. And now, class, let us talk more about The Wedding Dance. This novel, written by Amador Tidaglio, talks about the life of an Igorot couple, distanced by a tribe's beliefs and traditions. This is enacted into a play by Alberto S. Florentino. The characters, Awiyaw, husband, and Lunay, the wife. The story opens with Awiyaw entering the house he had built for him and Lunay. This is the exposition of the play, because we do not know yet the real conflict between the two. However, we are already given initial indications of the theme and mood of the play. Total darkness, sound of gangsters coming from the wedding dance in background. Light slowly phases in our Lunay kneeling on the ground, hands on knees, eyes closed. Awiyaw slowly enters under the pale of light. Lunay! Eyes closed, motionless. Why did you come, Awiyaw? Why did you leave the dance? They will be looking for you. The whole tribe is at dance, Lunay. Everyone except you. The whole tribe is happy for you. And because you are the only one absent, you are not happy for me? Why don't you come and join the dance, Lunay? Join the dancing women. What is the use of dancing now? I have always danced because of joy. Dance, if only to let them know you don't harbor anger or hate in your heart. Oh, I am sorry. This has to be done. I am really sorry, but neither of us can help it. Lunay, what are you doing? I was thinking, remembering. Remembering what? Our life together. Of the 7 harvests, we have lived together as man and wife. This time, let us talk about the conflict. This is the point where you recognized the threat or challenge that besets the protagonist or the main character, sometimes referred to as the exciting force. The conflict launches the rising action of the play. Recognizing the conflict and the structure of drama is significant because it provides the character's motivation for their actions and the audience motivation to feel and care for these characters. The following is a list of the common conflicts used in plays. First, conflict between a person and another, which may arise because of love, hate, rivalry or competition, strong pursuit or obsession, or betrayal. Second, conflict between one person and a group of society in general, where the exciting forces could be rebellion, revenge, persecution, or war. Third, conflict between a person and environment or nature, which may arise from a catastrophe, rescue, survival, or grief over death or loss. Fourth, conflict between a person and God or the universe, where the exciting force may be about the protagonist's fate or his or her lack of it, the triumph of good over evil, and the search for life's meaning. And fifth, conflict between a person and him or herself, which may arise from self-sacrifice, self-destruction, greed, or ambition. Let me give you an example. The conflict in Amador Tidagio's wedding dance begins when the story revealed that Awia wanted his former wife Lumnai to dance for him in his wedding dance and asked her not to feel bitter of the situation. In this scene, we begin to empathize with Lumnai as her husband is marrying another woman. You frightened me. I was thinking of the day we first met. You with your flute logs coming down the mountainside. And you with your load of jars of water. I was so tired, so I stopped at the spring and rest. Then I saw you. I made you drink the cool mountain water from my coconut shell, and it did not take you long to decide to throw your spear on the stairs of my father's house as a token of your desire to marry me. Remember too the day you took me away from my parents? Remember how we crossed the roaring river and the frightful trip up the trail on the other side of the mountain and the step on the rocks? Yes, a sleep. The slightest sleep would have meant death. Oh, better at that moment of great joy my hold failed, or my foot has slipped. Lumnai, don't say that. Don't feel bitter. I am bitter. How can one be made to turn his back on 7 harvests of a life lived together and not be bitter? And for what? Only because a man must have a child and one woman cannot bear one? You know that life is not worth living without a child. Life is not worth living without you. This time, let's talk about the rising action. As immediately as the conflict sets the action in motion, the play figures a dramatic tension that builds up toward a confrontation. This dramatic tension fluctuates, providing emotional tension between the characters, and the audience learns further details about them that were not initially provided in the introduction and conflict. Furthermore, the conflict becomes even more complicated at this point. An example would be, the rising action in Amador Tidagio's wedding dance begins when things start to heat up in their conversation. Lumnai confessed that she cannot let go of Awia, her one true love. Here, both characters are confronted with the sad reality of their situation and the decisions that go with it. You cannot completely blame me, Lumnai. We waited 7 harvests for a child. We waited too long. But what is a child compared to our love, our life together? Oh, I wish someone will tell me what it is that makes a man wish for a child. What is in life, in the work in the fields, in the planting and harvest, in the silence of the night, in the communing between husband and wife, in the whole life of the tribe itself, that makes a man wish for a child? Why does the unwritten law demand, anyway, that a man must have a child to come after him? I will go to the dance.
You will?
Only to confront the chief, the elders, to tell them it is not right. Awio, you are mine. Nobody can take you away from me. Let me be the first to complain, to denounce that unwritten rule which also says you may leave me and take another woman for wife. I will go and break the dancing. I will tell them to give you back to me.
Lumnai, the man. Because I cannot bear you a child mock me behind my back. I wanted a child so that my name will live on in outright.
Right now, as much as you desire, child, to carry your name, I desire death.
Lumnai,
What will I live for? Name one good reason and I will live on.
take another chance at life, Lumnai. Take another man.
I don't want another man.
Come with me to the dance. Who knows, one of the men will see you and like your dancing. He may ask you to marry him. Who knows, with him you might be luckier than you were with me.
I don't want another man, Awio.
I don't want another woman either.
Let's talk about the turning point, climax, or crisis. The turning point of the story, this is the highest point where the protagonist comes face to face with the struggles against the main conflict, and we, the audience, are kept at the edge of our seat. Will the protagonist come out successfully, or will he or she be beaten by the conflict? An example would be the turning point or climax in Amador T. Daguio's wedding dance begins when Lunay persuades Awio to stay with her and live their life as it is. She does not want Awio to remarry, just because they could not have a child together. Here, the two revealed that they are still both in love with each other. However, they have to face the changes brought by life and tradition. Bitterly, you say you don't, yet you will take another woman tonight. Madulimay, tinged with jealousy. Who is prettier, younger? How lucky she is. All women who 7 harvests ago danced in my honor. Tonight, dance in her honor, whose only claim is that perhaps she could give you a child. It is not right. How does she know? How does anybody know that she can give you a child? And yet, you will belong to her from tonight.
Madulimay can never be as good as you have been. She is not as strong in planting beans, not as fast in cleaning jars, not as good as keeping a house clean. Your one is the best wives in the village, Lumnay.
But it has not helped me any. It has not done me any good, has it? After all, a woman's worth, so the tribe law seems to say, is how fruitful she can be. Yet 7 harvests ago, I was as Madulimay is now. Everybody thought I would bear you 12 children. Remember, Awio, when my body was young and full of promise.
Mostly, remember the dancing. You were the best dancer in the village. You had lightness and grace. Alone among the women, you danced like a bird tripping for grains in the ground. Men praised and envied your supple body and your hands that stretched like eagle wings when you danced.
Awio, Awio, my husband, I did everything to have a child. Look at me, look at my body. Remember when this body worked fast in the fields, climbed mountains, when it was firm and full? My body was a field fully plowed and fertile. But alas, I was never blessed by a child or even the rumor of one. Kabunyan, he is cruel, he never blessed me. Awio, I am useless, I must die.
Maybe you and I never prayed enough.
But I have sacrificed many chickens in my prayer. You remember how angry you were once?
I butchered one of your pigs without your permission. I did it to appease Kabunyan, but Kabunyan did not see fit to give me a child.
It will not be right to die.
gathering her in his arms.
I don't care about everything. I'll have no other man, Owiyaw.
Then you'll always be fruitless.
I'll go back to my father. I'll die.
Then you hate me. If you die, it means you hate me. You don't want me to have a child. You don't want my name to live in our tribe.
This time, class, let's discuss about the falling action. Generally, the falling action is more fleeting and short-lived than the rising action, but may still cover some gripping moments in the play. This part gives the audience a sense of conclusion, with several unsettled questions at work within the plot, giving some sense of resolution to the play. The falling action in Amador T. Daguio's wedding dance begins when both Lunay and Awiyaw decided to follow their tribe's tradition.
I am leaving the village at the rising of the sun tomorrow when you cease to be my husband. And I, your wife, I have prepared a house for Madalima is coming.
No, Lunay, stay here. This house is yours. I built it for you. Live in it as long as you wish.
And you and Madalima,
I will build another house.
no, Owiyaw, stay in this house, and I have no need of it. I will go back to my own house.
But this is your own house.
This is my only house as long as you're my husband, Owiyaw. My parents are old. They will need help in the planting of the beans and in the pounding of rice.
At least, don't leave the village, Lunay. Take care of the field that I cleared for you.
I have no need for the fields either. They are Madalima's now.
Lunay, I dug that field out back of the mountain for you.
Give it as a gift again to Madalima.
You are not taking anything I have worked for you and given you.
There is one thing I want to take with me. The beads.
Produces them.
They are yours to keep, Lunay. Here.
Puts them on her, folding the beads.
I shall keep this because they stand for the love you have for me. I shall bring this with me wherever I go. I love you, Awiyaw, and I am sorry I have nothing to give.
Cups her hands.
These beads came from far off times. My grandmother said they came way up north, from the slant-eyed people across the sea. Keep the beads. Take good care of them.
Awiyaw, they are looking for you at the dance. I can hear them calling your name. Go back to them.
I am not in a hurry.
Madalima waits for you.
She and I will have all the time together after tonight.
But the others, they will scold you. You must go.
Not until you tell me everything is all right with you.
Everything is all right with me, Awiyaw.
I do this for the sake of the tribe.
I know.
Bits her lips and sobbed, then shook her head wildly. And now, let's talk about the Noma or resolution. This is the concluding part or ending of the play. We see in this part whether the protagonist has won or lost, order is brought back, and problems are resolved. The denoma or resolution in Amador T. Daguio's wedding dance begins when Awiyaw finally decided to go to his wedding dance, leaving Lunay behind.
Awiyaw, if you fail this time, but no, I don't want you to fail.
If I fail this time, I will come back.
Lays hand on his lips.
Awiyaw, do not make such promise.
Why?
Because if you do, I will throw myself to the ground and pray to Kabunyan that you fail this time with Madalima, so I could go back to you soon.
Lunay, pray that I be blessed with a child. If in spite of prayers, in spite of Kabunyan's powers, I still be without the child, then I will come back to you. Both of us will die together. We will both vanish from the life of the tribe. Went to the door and decides to leave. Hawio, Hawio, it's hard. She gasped and closed her eyes and hurriedly buried her face in his neck. The call from the outside of the house repeated. Lumnai, her grip loosened. Hawio, he vanished out into the night. Lumnai sat in the midst of the darkness for a while and went to the door and opened it. The moonlight struck her face. The sound of the gansos rises to a crescendo.
This time, class, let us tackle what is dialogue. Dialogue is the primary and most significant component in a play. The action of the play moves because of the dialogue. Since drama is performative in nature, the tone of the play and the character are revealed through the dialogues between the characters. For example, a change in character's attitude or reactions, whether the character gets ecstatic or surprised, can only be known only in the character's dialogue and relationship with other characters. And you should consider the following pointers in writing dialogues. First, characters should not talk perfectly. In reality, people do not speak in perfect English or Filipino. They also do not speak in complete sentences like a teacher would require a student to speak in front of a class. In Beth Henley's Crimes of the Heart, some characters used ungrammatical sentences and incomplete expressions because they are not academic persons. Second, characters should not use cliches. Cliches like honesty is the best policy or God is good are trite expressions. They can make dialogue sound dull, uninspired, and meaningless. Third, characters should not overuse character names. In real life, people do not address one another by always mentioning their names because it sounds silly and irritating. Fourth, characters should not speechify. Try to avoid having characters deliver kilometric lines without interruption. In real life, people usually alternate remarks in a communication exchange, even cutting in on one another. And fifth, keep the agenda out of the dialogue. The theme of the play should be naturally conveyed to the audience through the series of events happening in the play, and not through the dialogues of the characters. If you have to reveal the theme and the dialogue, it means that the play is not effective or working well as it should. Wow, that was fast! Well, this time, class, I need to say goodbye and thank you for listening attentively. See you on our next session. Bye!